Afternoon, Ricky. Hopefully you're well. I've put the little message up there because I've already lost one stream today. So I've put the little message up there to just pre-warn everybody. My computer's having a really bad afternoon at the moment. As I say, we had a couple of people in the... I literally went live, and within a few seconds I had a couple of people in the stream straight away. And they seem to have disappeared, which is understandable, like I say, because the stream just went. Yeah, I'm doing very well, thank you. Bit of a what I call a heart symptom today, but I think it's a good day. We're doing very well. Hopefully, what I will do is in a little while, I will take you to the farm and show the farm, because I've finished building it now. So I thought I'd do the live stream on here today, because I have now got the farm finished. As you can see, we're out with the plough. We're getting ready for the autumn drilling. We've got, actually, just very quickly, so we've currently got this harvester out harvesting this field, and there are oh, there they go, there's tractors and trailers. We have got a harvester in this field who's not moving because a tractor and trailer has got in the way. So let's move said tractor and trailer. Let's get this one out of the way, and then we can crack on again. Right, and then we've got the combine working at the moment. He's harvesting the beans, and then we've got the Challenger out ploughing, and as you can see, a few seagulls behind him as well, which is pretty cool. It's a new mod that's available on the mod hub. Just in case. Welcome back, the Drifter from the house. I do apologise. Last time I was right in the middle of talking and speaking to you, and then my computer just decided to turn itself off. So right, while we're here, while we're at the farm, so as I say, today I finished building it this morning, and I thought I'd start the series. So this is going to be a new series, predominantly I think a live streaming series, but we will also do, I might do some episodes as well, because one or two people have kind of got in touch with me and said, you know, it's great that you're live streaming, good on you, but I don't get to see them because I'm at work. I do put them up. I do put them up after the streaming, but I do understand that some people don't want to sit and watch. You know, three or 4 hours of someone playing farm sim. But yeah, so that's the new Seagull mod, which is really cool. Really like it. Did a fantastic job. Very realistic with the gulls. That's pretty cool. Is it okay if I just call you the Drifter? But that's pretty cool. I have looked at it a couple of times myself, but it's a good mod. I was showing you the farm, wasn't I? So yes, silos put in. So this is for auto drive, basically. These silos are for auto drive. So basically, you know, they can come in as they are doing, and then they can tip. And then what I'm going to do is, off camera, I will then put them in the stores. We'll put them in here, and this will be our veg stores. And as I say, that's where we'll store them. We've got loads of storage. So as the title suggests, or the description I think it's in, as it suggests, this is going to be predominantly vegetables. There will be combinable crops, just because there has to be a break crop. We're going to be following real life rotations. So these are the rotations that would have been excuse me, that would have been that we used on the farm that I worked on. This build, although the farm layout's not the same, mainly because it wasn't one farm. There was sort of lots of farms, and each farm had its own speciality. So one of our farms was solely potatoes, another one was solely onions, another one was carrots. I think that one was carrots, and I think carrots and Brussels, I think, was the other farm. I can't remember now. But yeah, so we're going to be following the same rotation that we had at work. As I say, we're going to be storing it the same as we did at work. This area out the back here, so this is where the onions are going to be, packed and then stored, and then we will be able to move them on from there. And then out the back here, this is going to be where the factories are going to go. So there'll be a potato factory here, there'll be obviously the canned vegetable factory here, and stuff like that. And as I say, that is where this will all go. I will just say, if my voice or if I sound really trembly, it's because I'm having quite bad heart symptom days, day to day, and one of the side effects to it is it makes me shake. So if I sound really trembly or really sort of distant or a bit confused, that's the reason why. But we'll try and carry on as normal, if we can. But yeah, so and so hopefully it'll be a good series. Hopefully everyone will enjoy it, and we'll see whether we can make a business of it. So this is on the Fen Edge map, so made by Red Dog Modding. Absolutely love this map. Had it in FS22, really liked it. Kind of wanted to do a series on it, but I knew this one was coming, so I sort of kind of in a way didn't think really there was any point doing a series on it, because as I say, I knew the new version was coming, and I wanted to wait until FS25, because obviously we can do way more veg in FS25 than we can in FS22. So this field here is going to become canola. As I say, we will have some harvestable crops. So this field, and then the field over there that you can see that's yellow, that has been harvested, that will be ploughed, and that will also become canola as well. And then those two fields there that you can see, they're going to be the 2 wheat fields. Do I take it that by that, Drifter, that you would like to see some FS19 streams? I mean, if you do, you know, no problem. Like, just let me know, and I'm sure we can sort that out. Funnily enough, actually, it was installed a couple of days ago on my computer, and I uninstalled it again. I thought, because I was going to do some 19 FS19 streams, and then I thought, uh, perhaps no one would be interested, and so I uninstalled it again. But if people want to see FS19 streams, then you know, by all means say, and you know, I'll reinstall it and we'll crack on. We can play on Hopfac or Gaspardo or any other map that people might want to see on there. I think is Oakfield, I think, on FS19 by Oxygen David. Not one of my sort of preferred maps, but I'm always happy to get suggestions and see what people think. Also, as well, Ricky, if you're still, or anybody, if you're in the stream, is my mic not cutting out this time? 'Cause I think I've solved that issue with a little bit of help from AI. That's pretty cool. I didn't mind the Millennium Farm map, actually. To be fair, it was okay. Yeah, it was okay, that map was. It's good to know that it's groovy. Actually, that does interest me, Ricky. That does. I gotta be honest. I might. Yeah, that does actually interest me to do that kind of playthrough. That interests me a lot. I don't know how feasible it would be. Because I don't know if 19 how much 1950 stuff there is or how reliable it is, but it's certainly something I could look into. As I say, it'd definitely be something I'd be interested in. I mean, it's the same with any version of the game up until from 2009. I have still got them all. They're not all installed on my computer, but I've still got them. As I said the other day, a complete accidental discovery. A few weeks ago, when I was trying to sort out FS22 and 1950s Farm and get it all working, I had deleted some of the emails you get for your keys for your DLCs and the games and stuff. So I messaged Giants thinking it was a complete hopeless waste of time, but I messaged them anyway and just thought, well, I can try. And when you go on there, obviously the same with everything these days, you don't get to speak to a human being. But it had a frequently asked questions sort of kind of section, and I went on there and found the bit where it says I've lost my key, and then I had to put my email address in that the key would have been sent to, which, you know, is luckily enough I sent them all to the same email address, so that was no worries. And Giant sent me every key I'd ever bought. So it kind of meant that I got, like, as I say, 2009 back. I got 2015, 2017 or 13 as well. Obviously I missed 13 out and 11. So hang on, let's start again. 9, 11, 13, 15, 17, 19, and then 22, and then 25. So yeah, yeah, so it was a real bit of a real stroke of luck, that was. But yeah, I didn't know that feature was available on Giants' website, so I was well happy about that. If you're wondering why I go side on, it's so as I can see where to lift the plough. Because obviously if you lift it too early, then it won't match up when you come to do the headlands. And alternatively, you can also as well, you can then also plough a little bit deeper into the headland, and then you don't have to do quite so many rounds around the outside. Yeah. Well, I can certainly have a look at that drifter in a little while. I say my computer is due to go back to the menders again for what would this be, the second time, I think. For the second time, because as I say, it just randomly turns off. The fans go to 100%, and I have to then hard shut down to do anything. And I've had a new symptom today, which is where the computer just froze. Everything just froze. I couldn't do anything. So I had to hard shut down from that. It's coming up with kernel power 41. Error kernel power 41. I have no idea what that means, but that's what it's coming up with. I did look it up on Google, and it's something to do with either the PSU, the motherboard, or the PSU IE cables. But I know absolutely nothing about computers, and I'm not delving into my computer, mainly because I don't want to jeopardise my 10-year warranty that I've got with it. So I got my computer from Chill Blast, and I've always got my computers from there. I've never had an issue. So I'm certainly not slating them now, because the one thing I will say, that was a bit early, the one thing I will say is, in regards to the issues that I'm having, they do act very, very quickly, and don't sort of give me any issues or try and fob me off at all. They're really good. Yeah, it's as I say, it just goes to that error every time, and so apart from it being the PSU, which I'm not really sure what that is. I'm guessing by the letters, the acronym, that it stands for power supply unit, I'm guessing, but I have no idea. And like I say, I don't sort of mess about with it because I don't want to invalidate my warranty, because my it does have a very good warranty on it. They gave me 5 years, as I say, and then I purchased another 5 years on top of, just to make sure that we were absolutely safe. I mean, I'm not being funny, but my computer was nearly $4,000, so I thought it was probably best that we give it all of the warranties and insurances that we could get for it, really. Yeah, that's what I thought, Ricky. I knew it'd be something like that. So this was my job, not with this tractor, but I had this plough at work. I had a Challenger on the front of it, and depending where I was ploughing on the farm, depended on the Challenger that I used. So if I was on what they call Grade A land, which is basically just pure compost, I could use my MT775 E. But if I was on heavier land, then I would have to use my 875E Challenger. Now on the front of the plough, they just have a John Deere 9RX now, and that came in last year, was it, or the year before? So if I can get out when they start their spring work, they haven't started their spring work yet because according to Big Boss Man, the farm manager, he said like it's a little bit too risky at the moment because we keep going back into frosts and there's the potential for snow and other stuff. So they haven't started their spring work yet. But as I say, when they do, I'll try and get out and see if I can get some video footage of it with my plough. I don't know whether it's still my plough, whether they've changed it, because the farm tend to change machinery every 5 years. So everything on the farm has a 5-year lifespan. Once it reaches 5, it's sort of sent back, I guess, and then the new thing comes in then. And usually we get to go we get asked what we want. If we want the same, or do we want something else? Do we want to try something else? And then the farm went out and got it for us. That's fair enough, Ricky. To be fair, apologies for that. If it sounds like I'm really stretched when I reply, it's because, as I said the other day, my comments come in on my other screen, and my other screen's a little bit too far away from my eyes to see the writing, so I have to really lean over. Why I don't just go and get glasses, I have no idea. To be fair, actually, I did go about glasses, but because of my cataracts at the moment, I can't get glasses reading glasses to be focused. So I have driving glasses, and they work really well because I can see for miles and see every fine little detail on everything. So I have driving glasses that work really well. They're not bad for reading as long as it's a long way away. It's not so good if it's sort of fairly close up to me. Then it's a bit blurry, and it also makes me feel a bit sicky as well when things is like right up close. But if it's a long way away, then the driving glasses do work a treat. But the screen's too near, because I did try them the other day and the screen's too near. I couldn't get on with it. It's making me feel really queasy. So yeah, it's but hopefully this year they're going to be sorted. Right, headlands it is then. Thank goodness. Or have we got a little bit of a gauze up here? I'm going to go the other end anyway, because I have got gauze, so this needs turning over. So gauze, or as I call them, but other tractor drivers will call them shorts. So you have your shorts, as where you're turning short all the time, obviously. So depending on sort of where you are in the country, it depends on what they'll call them. Other tractor drivers and farm workers call them scoots, working in the scoots, but I call it working in the shorts, or the gauze. That's another word. But yeah, so as I say, hopefully we will get on okay at this. I have sort of, while I've been building the farm, obviously I did some harvesting, and I have been through the map, and touch wood, I couldn't find any issues, so I did sort of give it a really good test before, as I always do before starting a series. But hopefully, fingers crossed, this should be okay. I wish that plough turned a little bit quicker. I know I could do the thing a little bit earlier, but if I do it too early, it catches on the mudguards of the tractors when you're turning around. Afternoon gaming, Karaja. Hopefully I've said that right. Hope you're well. Thanks for joining us in the stream. It's always nice to have new people in here. As you can see, we are busy ploughing. As well as harvesting, we've got quite a few other machines out working at the moment as well on the farm. We've got 2 DeWolf veg harvesters. One's harvesting red beets, the other one's red beets, and the other one's harvesting parsnips. And we've got the combine out as well, and he's harvesting green beans. Alright, we'll try and get these headlands done, and then, as I say, we've got that field in front to do as well, but so, as most of you will probably know this anyway, there's always 2 ways to do headlands. You can either plough from out to in or in to out, and this is in to out. I used to do this at work a lot, especially if it was coming veg. That way the open furrow would always be on the outside of the field, which meant then that the planters and the tractors weren't then sort of smashing through the the ground through the furrow when being pulled out. And also as well, it's good to come past where your first furrow starts, like on the headland. So you can see that I've gone quite a bit past there. So when you're ploughing, if you go past where your first furrow is going to be, when we get to the other side, that will then rebury all the trash. It wouldn't matter on veg land as this is. This was beans, this field was. So it wouldn't matter quite so much on here because you wouldn't have the amount of trash. But if you was doing like a straw crop, so like a wheat or barley or oats or anything like that, then to go by and then to plough it back again across, it would then rebury everything you've already buried. If you tried to do it from the edge, it would literally plough it all up, and then you wouldn't be able to do anything about it. Then you'd have the straw or the stubble laying back on top again. So if you which is why I always have the side view, so I can see when the plough's gone sort of a little bit past that line that we're now following. I don't know whether people are interested, but I just thought I'd explain the reasons why I do what I do, or the way I do, why I do things the way that I do them. That's what I'm trying to say. But yeah, so that's the reason why I say that was how I used to do it at work. And also as well, because you've ploughed past and then ploughed back across, it helped to fill the furrow in as well, so it made it less bumpier when you were coming off the out of the breeds and sort of onto the headland. It meant that you didn't get a huge sort of jolt when you went into the furrow. So it's a really great map, this one. Like I said before, I really do like it. I just wish it had been finished off a little bit better. Like when you're down that side there, directly in front of us, it's just the end of the map and you can just drop off it. There's like normally there's like a collision barrier there, but there doesn't seem to be one. And I say that because I've had one of my workers drop off it. So he was driving in the tractor and trailer with the harvester, obviously harvesting the field, and he sort of came off the end of the field, went to turn round, and I just watched him disappear off the map. It was like, bye. It's like, thanks for playing. So yeah, it kind of needed just needed finishing off a little bit. There's just one or two areas around the whole map, and I sort of think, if you'd have spent like just another couple of days, and I understand that the map maker has had quite a few issues over the last certainly last few weeks, but probably months. So I understand why perhaps things did get sort of left the way they did. I fully understand, but as I say, it's just a shame that things did work out the way they did for him, because up until the sort of final finishing touches. This is an absolutely awesome map. Like I say, I just love it. I love the open fields. It really does feel like where we're from, because it turns out that myself and Red Dog, I don't think are too far apart. Some of this map is set. I'm sure Kes Stevens is one of the place names on the map, and that's not too far from where I am. That's not a million miles from Boston. We had land out there in Kes Steven. If I'm thinking of the same one, and you're not necessarily thinking of the same one, but we've got someone blocked. Let's go and investigate. It's usually one of these two. Okay. Blocked because of the tree. It's a fairly straightforward fix, this. If you just kind of do that, usually it fixes them. If that's the tree, no. Is it the tree? It's not the tractor. Normally, if you just sort of delete a few of the trees around the outside, it encourages him to move. It could just be that the tractor doesn't really know what to do, so what we'll do is we'll drive the tractor under ourselves. That will get him to move, hopefully. Oh no, he'll stay there because he's on his pipes on the crop side, so we'll get that to unload, and then that should move him again, hopefully. It's the only thing when you're playing with a lot of harvesters and a lot of sort of AI workers, it sort of does go wrong quite often. You end up, which again, if I was recording a proper video, I could cut all of this bit out. Whereas, like I say, live streaming, obviously everyone gets to see everything that's going on. But we will just have a quick check round, make sure everyone's okay. I think they are. Looks alright. Yep. And then yeah. I say we'll just have a quick scoot around there we go, look. I think actually he's finished. So if you're wondering why I'm doing the harvesting with the beans with the combine and not the actual green bean harvester, the reason being is because I wanted to get this up and running and working sort of fairly straight away. That was the easiest way, but also as well at the moment, and it is going to be fixed because I do have them, but at the moment there's a little issue with Courseplay and these harvesters. So what they'll do is they'll go a few times round like they have done, and then this one ended up like right out there somewhere, and that one ended up which way did he go? He went out there somewhere, and they both crashed into buildings. So I'm waiting until that gets fixed, but it is currently being fixed at the moment. So or if it has been, I don't know. I haven't actually looked to see whether there's an update. To be fair, there might well be an update now on the Courseplay bit, but that's the reason why they're sat and he's doing the harvesting, because the combine works perfectly well. Oh no, he hasn't quite finished. This was where the pylons were, so I've taken the pylons out because apparently the pylons there was a bit of an issue with the pylons, so I've taken them out, and hopefully that solved all the issues. So that's why there's green patches like that everywhere, but we will plough them out as well, so we will get there. Yeah, that's very true, Ricky. I quite agree. Like I say, it's the same with this one, really. I mean, I could go through it and do it myself, uh, but I, which I really was tempted to sort of go through it. Oh, you're joking me. I've just been there. We'll see if it clears. Sometimes it'll clear itself. Um, yeah, I was sort of fairly reasonably tempted to sort of think, well, actually, I'll do it myself. I'll finish it off. I'll, sort of, because I am learning Giants, and editor and different things. But I, the few issues that the map's got were not enough to stop me playing it. And because they weren't enough to stop me playing it, that made it for me feel and like I didn't need to do the few bits that needed doing. Like I say, I mean, I hope if Red Dog does watch this, I'm not having a go and I'm not criticising or anything like that. Like I say, I understand that you've had issues and things going on in your personal life, and and I more than anyone know what you're going through and how that feels. Please don't take it as a criticism or that I'm sort of digging you out or anything like that, because I'm not. Like I say, but it is just that, that's just my opinion, really. And as I say, Ricky, like I just thought, do you know what, the one or two little things in the map are not enough to stop me playing it, and putting sort of the time and the effort in. So I sort of left it as it was, and yeah, I just love it. I love this map. I absolutely adore this map. If someone asked me why, I, I don't quite know, which sounds really odd. Sorry, I'm messing up this corner, but everyone ignore me. Everyone just ignore what I'm doing. Yeah, it's like I say, they're not game breaking issues, and I feel like I would lose far more not playing it than what I kind of have to sometimes look past when playing it, if that makes sense. Like I say, there's a few little bits and pieces, but like I say, I just, this is one of those maps that I would just keep coming back to. The same with Gaspardo Time on Kauai on FS19. Absolutely love that map as well. I played that map to death. And Kernstadt on FS13, and there was one on FS15. I forget its original name, but it was done in 2017, FS17, and in FS17 that map was called Airsholt. But I forget its 2015 name, but I played that map to death as well. I tell you, if I do find a good map on Farming Sim, which is fairly hard to do, to be honest with you, a map where you just want to continually play it. There's a lot of really good maps that after a month or two, it's like From the Ground Up. I really, really love that map, and I want to keep playing it. But like when I was doing Saxlingham and one or two other saves that I was doing, they're really fantastic maps. But after sort of, I think I did about 20 episodes, I was like, this map's getting old now. It's kind of, there's not enough to keep me interested. Whereas, as I say, it's whereas this map, it's so massive. I'm looking forward, if it ever gets released, but I'm looking forward to trying Saxlingham times 4. That really interests me, because Saxlingham was a really fantastic map, really nice map. You know, it was good that we could sell everything on the farms and build our own. I quite like doing that, as you can probably tell. Yeah, it was quite good that we could do that, and you know, sort of do all of that stuff on. But the current Saxlingham as it is at the moment, like I say, after a little while, I did get a little bit. It got a little bit repetitive, that map, and there wasn't really anything new to keep me interested. And I then struggle to do videos on, and I think this is one of my issues, is that if I start to struggle with a map, I start to struggle to have the enthusiasm to do the videos on it, because I kind of sort of think, well, you know, I'm not really enjoying it, so therefore that may well be coming across on the video, and then that might be putting people off. Also, as well, I've just noticed the money in the corner. Completely ignore the money in the corner. That's because we're currently building farms. So all of the crops, just let it save, but all of the crops, I'll show you, are still in the silos. They haven't been sold. So when we come to put the money right, and we'll start it at like sort of 10,000 or whatever, but when we come to put it right, then we'll have all of these crops to sell. But the parsnips, the red beets and the carrots will be turned over to canned veg. The green beans also. Soybeans will just be sold as soybeans, but we won't be growing them after this. So they were on the map when I started, so that won't be grown anymore. And and then we'll be sort of on to what we want. But so that even the rotation this year isn't going to follow exactly how I want it, but I've got to sort of get the map turned around and set up the way that I want it. But like I say, it's I was building the farm this morning and doing whatever, and you know, sort of the bits and pieces, and I thought, well, actually, to do a live stream on it will give people the opportunity to see, you know, sort of what I'm sort of starting and what I'm trying to achieve, and hopefully, you know, people will enjoy it and also get invested, and hopefully sort of do Red Dog's map justice and play it the way that hopefully he intended it to be played, and show it off to everyone. Like I say, there are a few issues in terms of the map's release that I'm not going to go into, because I really don't know all of the details and what have you. But that aside, and it is available to download. But you know, that aside, as I say, just because I don't have all the details, and I don't fully know everything that's gone on, so I'm sort of trying my best to steer clear of that, if you can kind of understand that. But yeah, hopefully he might see this and sort of think, you know, I'm really pleased it's being used in the right way, or farmed in the right way, I should say. I have to admit, I do really like the seagulls following the plough. That is pretty cool. I mean, that was one thing that I used to really like at work. So one day when I was ploughing at work, ploughing away, and I was coming down the furrow, and up ahead I could see this white dot in the furrow, and obviously it was a seagull, and I just thought, you know, when I get too near he'll just fly off. But as I got right up to it, he didn't move, and so I stopped the tractor, kind of like I had done there. Stopped the tractor, walked up to it or towards it, still expecting it to fly off, and it didn't. It just kind of was looking at me and sort of flapping one wing and what have you, and I thought, oh, it's hurt itself. When I got right up to it, I could see that the clod, because I was on fairly light land, so because of it was veg that had been wet when we harvested it, so it was light land, but it was still quite sticky. And what had happened was, as I'd turned the furrow over, the seagull had obviously gone into the furrow behind me to get its worm, but some of the mud had rolled back down and trapped its wing, and it couldn't obviously fly away. So I used to carry a hoe in the front of my tractor, mainly to clean the tyre treads, and I went and with the hoe moved this bit of wood, because I obviously didn't want it to, I was a bit worried it might peck me or something, so I thought if I used the hoe so I can stand back, and I lifted the you know, sort of pushed the clod off its wing, and the seagull kind of got up and sort of ran off a little bit, and then sort of stopped, turned and looked at me. Well, I sort of made sure that it was okay, put my hoe back in, got back in my tractor, and then when I set off, the seagull came and sat on the bonnet for a bit, and then because I had a John Deere, it was on the first farm that I worked on, I had a John Deere 6620 that I was ploughing on. It came and sat on the rear mudguard, and for the rest of the day it literally sat in and around and on the tractor. But like I say, I mean, don't get me wrong, like, I'm not going to then say, oh, and then the next day it came, because I don't know. I mean, there was 1,000 seagulls there, and unfortunately they all look the same, so I don't know whether it did come back, but no seagulls sat on the tractor thereafter. But yeah, it was one of, you know, it's kind of like thinking, right, it ought to move, and it just never did. But it was nice to be able to, I use the word rescue very lightly, but it was nice to free it. There we go, and that's the best way to put it. It was hardly a rescue. I'm hardly going to be on God, what was his name? Burke, who used to, I don't know if you guys can remember the 999 program that used to come on after the 10 o'clock, after the 9 o'clock news, back in the day when the news was at 9, not 10. And Berkey used to host a show called 999 or 999 Emergency, something like that. And it would always be sort of, you know, follow an ambulance crew out on a particular call or whatever. And I always remember this one call they went on. Tractor driver was hedge trimming, and he had the hedge trimmer right sort of like in the side door, so as he was looking out, the hedge trimmer was like through this door here, through the glass here, and as he went through the hedge, he caught some wire that was in the hedge, and the bit of wire flew through the glass and went into the side of his neck, and it was a passerby. I don't know if it was like a dog walker or a cyclist or someone like that, but someone that was passing by that happened to notice that the tractor driver was sitting in his tractor bleeding to death, and called the ambulance, obviously, and the air ambulance and everything else, and it was a right horrible mess. It wasn't very good. I mean, when I was working on Farm 2, one of our guys had a really nasty, fatal accident. I had two really nasty accidents when I was working on Farm 2. One was fatal and the other one wasn't. Not me personally, but the lads on the farm. The first one was we were unloading. I think we were potato harvesting, and we were unloading them obviously into the hopper. And what used to happen was that any soil that had got in would sort of gather and stick at the bottom of the trailer. Like as the last of the potatoes came out, the soil would stick. So you used to have to sort of kind of get in there and free it off, because obviously then it would act as a blocker the next time you come to unload. So it was always best to get it off while you were at the hopper. And not only that as well, but yeah, obviously had to go back over the weighbridge, and you know, obviously they wanted the trailers completely empty. And yeah, he was working at the back there. The hydraulic hose on the ram, or the hydraulics on the two rams that held the trailer door up, they failed. The door slammed down and crushed him to death. Yeah, looking back at that, Ricky, that probably that as if you hadn't all figured that out, eh? But yeah, no. And the other one was, again, we were potato harvesting, and I've just realised how dangerous potatoes are. And I was on. It was my first year there, so I joined Farm 2 in on September the 1st. August the 13th was the first farm. September the 1st, and I was on the tractor and trailer with the potato, with the potato harvester, and I'd gone back to the field. Anyway, I was coming back to the field, and the Terry, who was driving the harvester over the CB, "Where are you?" And I said, "I'm on my way." I said, "I got held up in traffic." I said, "I'll be there in a minute." He said, "All right, I'll have a bit of a clean up until you get here." So I was like, "Okay, yeah, fair enough." I said, I'm not far away." So it gets to the field and pulls alongside the harvester, and there's no Terry. And I thought, that's odd. I thought, where's Terry gone? So anyway, I sat there for a little while. I had a drink and ate some of my snacks and what have you, and sort of because we were close to like a wooded area, and I'd assumed that he'd gone in there to go to the loo, you see, and so I thought, well, I'll have my snacks, and I thought I'll just, sort of sit and wait. Anyway, a break in the radio. The radio went quiet, and all of a sudden I could hear this really faint noise, and I was like, I thought, I'm sure that sounded like someone shouting. So I got out of my tractor and I started to sort of walk around. Then I could hear him clearly, and what had happened was he was cleaning the webs, and his foot had gone through the gap. He then fell over the other side, and it had basically trapped his leg between the two gaps in the web. And he was hanging over the other side of the harvester, hence the reason why I never saw him. And that was pretty gruesome, that was. There was a lot of claret there. There was a lot of blood. His ankle was broken. His bottom bit of his leg was broken. It was a right mess. A right mess. I say metal had gone into the side of his leg. It really wasn't very good. But I felt really terrible, because while he'd been there sort of screaming and what have you, I think I had like Madonna's Greatest Hits or something like that on, and I'm eating my crisps and drinking my, drink or my squash or whatever it was that I had, sort of in the tractor at the time. And he's at the other side of the tatty harvester screaming in blue agony. Yeah, that's kind of it, Ricky. Like I say, it was a bit of a shock, but as I say, I did feel guilty. There's me having a mini party in my tractor, and there's him, as I say, screaming in agony the other side of the potato harvester. But I mean, I was lucky, really. I never really had any sort of major accidents or whatever. I mean, I was always, sort of quite careful. Always, sort of very aware of what was going on. But I did do one silly thing. On farm 1, I was power harrowing in front of the drill, and it's sort of, afternoon, and I thought, well, I'll just get out, sort of check everything's okay. Had the power harrow lifted up as high as the lift arms would lift it on the back of my 6620 John Deere, and looked underneath, and there was absolutely tons and tons of string wrapped round the tines of the power harrow, and I thought, that's no good. I thought that would rip the bearings out and everything else. I thought I better get all that cut out, and off. So rather than taking it back to the farm, putting it on stands and, making sure that it couldn't fall on me, no, I just decided to go back into the tractor, get my penknife. I turned my tractor off. I didn't have the tractor running, but I just, got my penknife out of my sort of toolbox. Goes underneath the power harrow, and I'm busily working away. Anyway, I'd been sort of working there for a little while, and then all of a sudden, someone just grabbed hold of my feet and just dragged me across the field. And when I got out, and the guy John that I worked on farm 1 with, and I was like, what the hell are you doing? And he said, what are you doing? He said, what would you do if that power harrow fell on you? And I said, well, why is it going to fall on me? I said, it's up in the air. He said, yeah. He said, what if your hydraulic pipes, rupture or fail or whatever? He said, and that just drops the power harrow. He said, like, you're underneath it. And when I thought about it, I was like, yeah, actually, that's a fairly good point. I hadn't really considered that. That wasn't very pleasant for you, Ricky. Ooh. I mean, the guy, Terry's leg was still attached. Probably just, but it was still attached. But yeah, no, it's, it is, people don't realise. I can't remember the statistic. And I'm sure I'm right in saying, I'm going to probably make myself sound a complete and utter moron here, but I'm sure our health, and when we used to go in the winter on the health and safety courses and first aid courses, I'm sure the guy said that you were far more likely to be hurt on a farm than you were in the armed forces, or far more likely to be killed on a farm than you were in the armed forces. Now, I'm kind of guessing he was not referring to wars, because I don't know about you, but I would much rather be on a tractor than in a war. But I'm sure that's a stat that he gave us. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. What I tend to do is, yeah, we'll leave it. I think that might be a little bit too needed. So we'll just give you a hand. I don't like doing this, but sometimes needs must. Ooh. It's not gone so well either, is it? There we go. There you go, mate. Nobody saw anything. Right, let's crack on before the internet shuts down. Oh crikey, my screen's just updated. Hang on, I will just quickly read what's been put. The bull story reminds me of the sheep incident on Farm 1. So on the actual farm, at the back and round the sides, we had a sheep field. We had on each side and back we had sheep fields. So we had 3 there altogether, because the other side was the entrance to the farm. But we had 3 there altogether, and I came to work one morning, and I used to have to go into a hut, which was where I used to put my bag and that. And I went into as I was going up to the hut, I went inside, and a sheep was laying up against the fence, and I thought, it's probably asleep. I thought, it's probably fine. I thought it's just asleep, or sort of whatever. Didn't really think no more of it. Anyway, went off in the day. It was in around sort of late autumn, winter time. Anyway, went off, sort of doing my morning tasks or whatever. Lunchtime came, so the sheep was still laying there. So I said to John, I said, that sheep's been there since I got there this morning. Yeah, he said, he's alright, don't worry about that. He said, you ain't nothing to do with the sheep, you're a tractor driver. He said, look, that's not your worry, that ain't. So I said, yeah, I said, but I said, if it's injured or, worse, I said, like, it's not very nice, is it? I said, for the other sheep. He said, oh, they don't bother, Jamie. He said, like, bloody hell. He said, what do you reckon they doing sitting at the other end of the field going, oh, Brian, he's sat up against that fence. I wonder if he's all right. He said, like, forget about it. Don't worry about it. So anyway, I sort of did. Anyway, when I went at 4 o'clock to get my bag to go home, the sheep was still laying there. So I went up to the boss man, and I said to him, I said, that sheep's been up against that fence all day. He said, has it? I said, yeah. I said, it hasn't moved. So he said, okay. He said, I'll get the forklift. Will you give me a hand? So I said, yeah, no problem. So anyway, I said, I'll just put my bag in my car. And then he said, well, I tell you what. He said, put your bag in the car, bring the forklift, and I'll go over there. Anyway, I get the forklift. We arrive at the field at the same time. And so he goes through the gate. And then he walks up to the sheep, and just as he bends down, the sheep leaps up and runs off down the field. I needed the bloody forklift to lift him out. I reckon he must have had a heart attack or 6. But I tell you, to this day, that still cracks me up, that does. He just sort of walked over, reached down because I was going to put the forks over the top, and we were going to then attach the straps, and then that was how we used to do it. And just as he leaned over, the sheep got up and ran off. Oh dear. Boy oh boy was Mr. Farmer Man not very happy with me Right, we're just going to have a little save, but also I'm just going to turn a setting down. I was warned that having it too high would cause performance issues, so I'm just going to turn it down. Oh, I've hit save again. What a wally. So I'm just going to turn it, as I say, I'm going to just turn down the field goals a little bit. If I can find them, there they are. So we'll have it on 30. The mod author did say that if you have that too high, then performance would struggle. Also as well, when performance is struggling, could also be auto drive or course play, especially if one of them's got stuck. Absolutely drains the resources out of well, I say my computer, any computer. I mean, if it was my old computer, the game at this moment in time would be completely unplayable. I mean, at the moment the fraps are 16, 17, 18. It's going up a little bit now. There we go. So whatever was blocking it is clearing. But we will have another wander to see who's got stuck. Right, it doesn't look as if it's you, is it? Or have you finished? Yeah, this one's finished. Ah. Alright, I think everything's back to working as it should again. As I say, it could just be that I've just got one or two many machines working, because I've got several sort of mods that are continually working in the background, and one was the ghoul mod, and that does say that if you have that set too high, even on you know, sort of really good PCs, it will drain the FPS. I've also got another mod, which I don't know if you guys have seen. You more than likely have, which is this one. It's called the Neighbor Contracts. No, it isn't. It's in this one. Sorry. It is called Neighbor AI. So I've got this off at the moment because with all the workers that I had, the seagulls going as well. This was having an effect, but when, say, it's just me in a field ploughing, I'll have this turned on. Usually have it set to about 2 or 3. And then the fields that you don't currently own, so like that field there or them fields over there, they'll have like tractors working in them, to, you know, to kind of simulate that neighbours are working in the field and neighbouring farms and stuff. So yeah, it's a really good mod, but again, it's very resource hungry. Very resource hungry, and it does drain FPS, which something still is draining the FPS, so I don't know quite what's going on there. Well, yeah, I do I do like that sheep story. Getting back to what we was talking about, yeah, I do like that one. That still makes me laugh even today. So this time tomorrow I'll be at Scunthorpe tomorrow. Yeah, I know exactly what you mean, Ricky. I am sort of I am very choosy about what mods I do have and don't have, for that very reason. You know, I think you can always tell a good modder from, you know, someone who's not so good. I think a good modder can make a cultivator, or two modders can make a cultivator identical, but one's will be like 6 megabyte and the other one will be like 126 megabyte, and so therefore, you know, like I say, I am very sort of picky and choosy about, you know, what does go in there. I think it's definitely the Seagull mod that's doing it, to be fair. Yeah, I think it definitely is the Seagull mod that's doing it. But yeah, as I say, it's we're off to the Eddie Wright Stadium tomorrow. So the stock cars are rolling into Scunthorpe, and hopefully, fingers crossed, as long as ticker and everything is all right tomorrow, I shall be there myself. It's be the first ever time I've been there. I've been to Scunthorpe before. When I was with my ex, she had a friend that lived in Scunthorpe, so I've been to Scunthorpe before, but yeah, it'd be the first time going to the stock cars there. It's yeah, as I say, it's excuse me. Hopefully the mic didn't go off then, but I had to mute it because I had to sneeze. And you guys are all like, we don't care, shut up. But yeah, that's why everything went quiet for a second. So I was telling you the other day, Ricky, on Wednesday, about the rubbish game that I can't stop playing in the evenings, and I was playing it last night. It's Farmer's Dynasty, that's what I'm playing, and I was playing it last night, and obviously sort of one of the aims of the game, as well as farming, but farming isn't really the point of the game. The point of the game is social points and building your farm up from, you know, sort of ruin, what have you, and sort of doing, you know, sort of stuff like that, and getting married, which I didn't realise at first, but yeah, getting married is quite a big part of the game as well. And last night I was playing it, and like I say, I it's so poor, but there's so much to do, and there's so much like you just, there's never a dull moment in it. Like, you're always doing something different all the time, and I really like that, because for someone that's quite a big thinker and quite a big worrier, to have something that's constantly distracting you with new things, different things, you know, new scenarios of things that oh dear, that Massey Ferguson isn't getting on very well today, is he? I think next time we do a oh dear, he really isn't getting on very well. He seems to be wanting to drive through everything. It looks as if he managed to drive through the house anyway. Right, oh, we're going to have to lift you from that side. Doesn't look great, does it? But there's not really any other way I can do it, really. I was going to say, don't drive through then. We will just stick with him, see what he does. Ooh. Right, I think he's going to be happy again. Just make sure he's okay and he hasn't got stuck on a tree, which it looks like he might have done. He's he's got stuck on a tree. This is why FPS is struggling so bad. He's looking to unload. To be honest, I hate trees in Farming Sim. Anyone that sort of watched my channel or knows me or whatever, you know, sort of knows that. Oh no. Me hider mod stopped working. Oh dear. Is he going to work on that one? I love that hide object mod, but it appears that it has stopped working. Yeah, it stopped working. That's a bugger. We'll have to unload him ourselves. Never mind. Right. I had the move placeable mod in my mod folder sort of before Christmas. It was a little while ago. I found that it kept crashing my game. You know, I'd sort of be, and every time I went into the log, it was that was causing it, or some maps wouldn't load with it installed. So I got rid of it, but yeah, I quite like that mod as well, especially like because you put down, you know, you put down a building and you think, and it looked all right while you was putting it down. Then when you sort of kind of get to its level, you realise you've put half of it through the back of the shed or whatever. So you was able to sort of click on it and move it around. It's a really good mod, but yeah, I was getting a lot of issues with it. So in the end, I sort of you know, got rid of it out of the mod folder. But perhaps it wasn't. Perhaps it was a conflict with, you know, something else. I've just realised a boo-boo that I've made. So one thing when you've got a plough this big is to plough 3 times round one way and then plough 3 times round the other way, so that the wear on the plough is the same, so that the shares wear even. That's, you know, sort of, obviously on Farming Sim it doesn't matter at all. You know, that's not implemented in the game, but in real life you would plough 3 one way and then 3 the other, just so that you were using obviously the bottom, and then the next time you were using 3 rounds on the top. But and I've just realised I haven't done that. But like I say, it's not really that important in the game because Farming Sim's not that advanced. But yeah, I bet I said that just as you was typing it, didn't I? But yeah, no, I say, like, I might put it back in then if you've had sort of, you know, few issues, which by the sounds of it, and plus as well, the other little while ago, I don't know if it was just before or just after my computer came back from the menders, I I had a massive mod clear out. Spent a long time, you know, sort of doing it and emptying the mod folder. So maybe the mod that was conflicting with it, I've got rid of now. I mean, most likely it was a script mod, and I am a bit terrible for keeping script mods in my mod folder. But it's like, you download a tractor or you download like a machine that you like the look of, and it's like you use it once and then I never, yeah, and I sort of one time when I was starting a new save and I was sort of going through my mods and I was like, I've never used that, I've never used that, I've never used that, I've never used that, and I was like, right, no, before we start the new save, let's go into the mod folder and start clearing out the crap that we're not using. I apologise for the delay in the laugh, but my screen is just updated. Now I know what you're going to say. Oh dear. That is funny. That is very funny. And the thing is, we couldn't do it if we tried, could we? We just could not do it if we tried. I have to admit, mine's not that high. I think mine's about 380. But like I say, I did clear quite a lot out. I don't know how many I cleared out. But I did clear... I did... sorry, that has made me smile, that has. I did clear quite a lot of mods out. But like I say, I really should go through the script mods as well, because it is usually the script mods that do cause the issues. I know there was one, so the more palette mod, that caused my crops not to grow. So if I planted a field of, let's just say wheat, if that mod was installed, the wheat wouldn't grow. It would just stay planted, you know, sort of forever until I did something with it. And it took me ages and ages and ages and ages and ages to go through and eventually find that it was that mod that was doing it. So that's another reason why I am keen to sort of try and keep my mods to, you know, sort of the absolute, you know, necessary, and not have none hanging around that I just don't never use. Because if you do get an issue, it means you've got to go through hundreds and hundreds of combinations to try and find the one that's causing the issue, the sort of conflict. So that's another reason why I do like to keep the mods down. But yeah, like you say, it's absolutely crazy what, you know, the conflicts that mods can cause. You know, it really is. And you just, well, I don't know. I mean, I you know, I've never made a mod. Any mod that I've sort of ever done has always been someone else's mod first. Like I've done a few shorts of my granddad's track Marshall, but that was someone else's mod. That particular tractor is a bulldozer, and all I did was take the bulldozer off it and change the cab, because they had cab options, and that was about that. So I've never actually from scratch made my own mod, so mainly because I don't really have the patience to sit there and learn it and do it. So I do change maps quite a lot. Going to Giants Editor, I will change maps and I will edit maps and stuff like that. I enjoy doing that. Again, don't have the patience to sit and build my own. If I was to build my own, I'd build Farm 1 and the area, 'cause it's where I live. So if I was to, you know, sort of do it, that's what I would do. Funnily enough, seagulls was always something that I wanted after the plough, but I couldn't figure out how to build the bird models, you know, so that they could... Oh dear me, I've really not done a very good job here, have I? We're going to be well short in one corner now. I'm pleased I'm not at work. I'd get in trouble for this. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Yeah, that's kind of... I mean, the track marshal is not actually a track marshal. It just looks incredibly like a track marshal, especially from the back. And you know, that's kind of all that is. But yeah, I'm the same with mod. You know, I start a save on something and it's like, oh, I want this save to be all 80s or all, you know, sort of 90s or 60s or whatever. Download absolute ton of mods, get fed up with the save, never get rid of the mods. And then it's kind of like, you know, sort of 6 months later and it's like, or sometimes a year later, and he's like, Jesus, I remember doing that. What did I download all them for? Well, yeah, I do that all the time. Terrible. Or if I download like an American map, like Judith Plains. So eventually I'm going to do a live stream series on that as well. Because I really fancy doing peanut and sort of basically crops that you can't do on most maps, like peanuts and the other crops that are on there. I forget what they are now, but oh, there is a collision there because my tractor just hit it. Well, there you go, you learn something new every day, don't you? I didn't think there was a collision there. Right, our headland's not going to quite work out over there because of how rubbishly I've ploughed that headland, so that's a bit disappointing, that is. Yeah, it's it's well, like I say, it's you know, the same for me. You find something and then it's just I apologise, I lost my train of thought there and my heart went absolutely nuts then for a second and I was kind of like, what's going on? I apologise. Yeah, so as I say, I know exactly what you mean and how you feel. I think we'll back up into that corner actually. That did not look very pretty, did it? We'll back up into there. But yeah, say if I do go a bit distant or I sound like I've lost my mind, that's genuinely what's happened, is my heart's going nuts. And just for a few seconds I have to stop. So I apologise. I have to admit, in FS25, one thing that I really, really do like, and one thing that Giants have got absolutely spot on, is their GPS system. I absolutely love it, I do. The fact that it does headlands, the fact that it just works out every time. There's absolutely no guesswork for the player whatsoever. I really do like it. Massive fan. Really love how they do the tram lines as well. You know, in FS22, yes, I enjoy putting them in myself with the Proceed mod. And I enjoyed doing all that. But honestly, Giants have got those two things spot on. Absolutely spot on. That's in my opinion. And I know there's some people that are not fans at all, but I do quite like it. But yeah, it's like I say, it's oh wait up, what's that? Is that an animal or a plant? It's a plant. It's like, when I first saw that, I thought, how the hell has a Hereford got there? Oh dear, going nuts. Oxygen's being starved from the brain. I was like looking at that thinking, how? It's like I'd suddenly wandered into Ranch Simulator, where you leave the gate open and for like 1 second while you walk through, and every animal that you own in that pen walks out. It's like, where the hell are you lot going? I've come to feed you. It's a fair point that you make. I mean, a lot of the things about this game that I don't like, but you know, the way I always look at it is I'm quick enough to criticise, and I'm quick enough to, you know, sort of jump on them a little bit, and sort of pick fault with everything that is wrong with the game. But I do, I do like to sometimes balance that and say, well, actually, yeah, you know, you did get this right. But yeah, there is, I guess in a way, I can't believe I'm actually going to defend them a little bit. In a way, it's really hard to make a good farming game. How can I word this how I mean it? So the models and stuff like that, they get absolutely spot on. There's no issue, but a lot of people's issues and my gripes come with some game mechanics. Like I was saying the other day about like the repair system. About, you know, you buy a brand new tractor in the morning, it needs fully repairing by the evening, the paint's chipped off, and you know, and that really does upset me and it does annoy me. Now that's it really easy fix. If Giants want that in the game, that's fair enough. If there's other people out there that will really like that feature of the game, that's fair enough. Just make it so that I can turn it on or off. The same with like the disaster destructions and stuff like that. Some people really like it. I don't mind the tornado. If I'm on an American map, it, you know, kind of feels a little bit authentic, and I'll be happy to have it on. On an English map, they've made it so I can turn it off, so I don't have to sort of suffer something that I wouldn't have to suffer in real life, which is really great. And I think that's the point that perhaps Giants kind of in a way miss, is they could have a lot of the things that they want if they just made it switch on or off, so that, you know, you can, it's then a little bit more pleasing sort of everyone. It's kind of like in terms of the tornado, I know a lot of people that hate it, that think it's rubbish, why the hell's it in the game? And I completely understand, and I completely get where they're coming from. But I always say you can turn it off. Like, you don't have to have it, but it's there for the people that do it. And as I say, the game is, it's not great. The physics is terrible. The physics is absolutely shocking for a game that's been around now for what is it now? About 15 years, is it now, I think? No, longer than that, isn't it? 2000, so nearly 20 years. 2008 the game first came out, didn't it? So nearly 20 years this game has been out, and physics, I mean, they've only, you know, in the last few years, they've only just sorted out the Bale physics, and that's still not brilliant, but it's a lot better than what it was. As I said, you know, I remember it from... So I'm going to plough this off and square it off. I cut in on myself, sorry about that, because my screen updated and it was like, huh? Crikey. Right. How am I going to do that? Giving myself a right pain in the backside there. What I'll do is, it's going to make this corner look absolutely awful, but unfortunately we're going to have to just do it this way. There's not really much else I can do, really. Like I say, it's going to make this corner look absolutely dreadful. But this field's going to be drilled in a day or two's time, so we won't see it. That's what I'm going to tell myself. Hate it when I mess the ploughing up. Honestly, like, ploughing was obviously my job, and I really just... I'm sitting here now with very gritted teeth. Yeah, I agree with all your points there, Ricky, to be fair. Like I say, you know, like you said, it easier to make a pretty world rather than a proper world to sort of live in terms of, you know, what I think most people expect from a sim. I mean, the other thing as well is I hear people sort of saying, you know, oh, you know, when it rains and then the sun comes out, you can instantly harvest again. You know, oh, you need to have that so that it takes 2 or 3 days to dry. And I always remind people, yeah, fair enough, that is how it is in real life. But when I'm sitting in my living room, I don't want to wait 3 days to harvest my crop because it rained the day before. And they're going, oh, you just don't want to play realistically. And I say, look, back in 2011, everyone asked Giants for crops to wither and die. I said, Giants in 2013 gave everybody the fact that crops withered and died. And I can guarantee you nearly every single one of those people that asked for that feature now turns it off. I said, that is the thing. Because we don't have it, it sounds fantastic, it sounds a great idea, oh, it'll make this game really, you know, really realistic, and then that same person will then go and download a mod that's got a cultivator that's got a reach of like 100 you know, meters or whatever, and you sort of think, so you want Giants to build you a really realistic game, but yet you refuse to play it the way that would make it realistic in terms of using, you know, the sensible width mods or whatever. And that's my kind of where I do feel sorry for Giants a little bit, is the fact that, as I say, I go back to 2013 when they added in the withering. They added something else in as well. I can't remember for the life of me what it was. And in regards to the withering, literally everybody, and because I was on FSUK then, and like FSUK was, well, it was a great website if you were in the clicky group. For everyone else, it was just a website to go and read what everyone else was doing. And I was on there, and quite a few people that asked for that feature were then literally within sort of a few hours of getting the game asking how you turn that feature, how you turn it off. And I just like, and I was like, but you wanted this, like you literally asked Giants for this, and now you don't want it, and because you've just realised what a pain in the backside it is having crops wither and die within a day or two of being ready. So I do kind of feel for them, but at the same time, you know, it's like we couldn't have dynamic soil that we could dig and that we could do stuff with. And although they have sort of kind of with the plough furrows and stuff like that, I mean, the plough furrows, don't even get me started. You know, I did a short of this, and lots of people had a go at me. But how is this realistic, right? That's a plough furrow, and I haven't fallen through the ground. So, how can you say the ground is dynamic, and that the plough furrows you know, are actual, rather than visual things? They're an actual thing. They're not an actual thing. If they were an actual thing, my man would now be standing, you know, almost knee deep into that furrow. The other thing as well is how deep does a furrow need to be? I mean, you know, very rarely would I ever plough at that depth, but that really winds me up. Yeah, so I mean, again, the plough I bought this morning. That's the state of the plough that I bought this morning. And that's my big gripe with the way their wear system is. You know, 6 hours ago, it was about 9 o'clock in the morning on game time that I bought that plough. 6 hours ago, that was a brand new plough. Now look at it. It looks like I've had it 6 years. And even a 6-year-old plough in real life doesn't look like that. Especially if it's been well maintained, as mine was. Just saying. Yeah, okay, fair point. The only response I could have to that one is if they made workers that actually didn't try to drive through fences and stuff like that, I wouldn't need to lift them over, but fair point. Point well made. Yeah, dear. But yeah, say with the sort of dynamic ground, the guys that make Terrafarm, I used it all the time in FS22, and I got to be honest, I just haven't bothered downloading it in FS25. But the guys that made it so that you could actually dig the ground, you could push the ground into piles, you could sort of do whatever you wanted really with the ground, as long as the mod was compatible to the Terrafarm mod. you know, your excavator had to be set up for it, but as long as it was, you know, it would. And I mean, I say in FS22, I used it all the time. But I don't know, FS25, I've just not had the same fancy. I think it's because it was new in FS22, whereas now it's kind of like, oh, I've done that. Do you know what I mean? Like, but for the people that like mining and sort of playing that style of, I hate the fact that I'm driving on my field like this after I've ploughed it. Honestly, it's really winding me up. And I know it's only a game, and it shouldn't. Yeah, so but there we go. You know, at the end of the day, I suppose we can complain and debate and everything about sort of anything and everything in life, but just sometimes it does, like, for the people that do download the you know, the 50-meter cultivator or 100-meter cultivator or whatever, or a combine tank that holds, you know, 6 million litres, that's who I feel giants tend to listen to. And it's, they don't, I feel like they don't listen to much to people like myself, probably like you, Ricky, that try to play the game as though we are in real life, and you know, and try and play realistically and sort of authentic, you know. And I feel that giants sometimes do listen to those people rather than us. And they pander to those people as well. And I think the reason why is their numbers far outweigh our numbers, and giants know that we'll probably buy the game anyway because we're just farm enthusiasts, we just love farming. Whereas if they don't pander to those people, they might stop playing the game. That would be a massive chunk of their profits gone overnight. And I think that's why they do it. And from a business sense, I fully, you know, sort of sympathise with them, and I get where they're coming from. But don't forget about your real players, the players that play the way that when you first started out making this game, you intended. Because let's remember, this, where they're at now is not what they intended. They're just following numbers now. That's all they're doing. They're following numbers. They're following profit margins and different things like that. But when they first built the game, when they first started in 2008, 2009, 2011, it was like listening to everybody. Oh, we want more crops. Oh, we want this. Oh, we want that. And it was all being added. Then it got to sort of 2017, 2019, where the game exploded, and we just then started competing with other games like sort of FIFA and Call of Duty, and sort of on a sellable level, we started competing with those games, and all of a sudden giants couldn't give a monkey's what you want now. They're just chasing the profits. And if they can make a game look pretty enough, and they can add enough gimmicks into a game that keep the masses happy rather than the few they know will buy it anyway. And that's I mean, it's just my opinion. That's just, you know, what I think, and everyone may disagree with me, and that's, you know, that's totally fine, and you know, I'm sort of okay with that. That's just what I sort of think. Right. So, shall we plough this field, or should we go off and have a look at something else? What do you think? I don't know why I'm running. Could literally just tab over to them. I mean, we could do some bean harvesting ourselves. I suppose we could do that, which would just change the job a little bit. 'Cause obviously, I don't, want to get too repetitive. And at the moment, although I will turn the engine off because obviously that's costing me diesel. But yeah, what do you think? I'll ask you, Ricky. There is someone else in here as well, but I'll ask you, should we do some more ploughing or should we go and harvest some beans? Fair enough. I'll carry on with the ploughing then. Just because I want to get this done so we can start drilling. All right. I think it's what you was just saying, really, about the excuse me, about the like the attention thing. I kind of sort of thought then, or I've got to change now because otherwise, people will be getting, sort of fed up of me ploughing. And sometimes what I think about my videos is like people get a bit tired of the fact that I don't, I sort of do things as they should be done, rather than continually, doing sort of 20 jobs in one episode. I can't play the game like that. I have tried to sort of play YouTube way, if you like, where you do that, and I'm not digging him out, but Daggerwin does it very well. But I can't bring myself to play the game that way. If you're wondering why there's a vent there, I had to plough out where the telegraph poles had been, so he's got a little drag on the back. So that's why there's a vent there. That's excuse me. That's nice of you. Really nice nice thing to say there, Ricky. I appreciate that. But yeah, like I say, I just struggle to do it, and like I say, I'm not at all digging, Daggerwin and all the other YouTubers out that sort of do it that way, because they're very good at it, and I occasionally do enjoy a watch of sort of what Daggerwin gets up to, but I just for myself I can't do it. I like literally, if I didn't do YouTube, well, I would sit and I would basically, I wouldn't even have that challenge of ploughing, because I would think, no, that's taking ploughing away from me, that I do that's my job. I think we've may have got the wrong setting on the plough here. I can't tell. Yeah, we're a bit narrow. We're ploughing with the front furrow in the press. We're ploughing with the front furrow in the furrow, not the press. We definitely would be doing it wrong if I was ploughing it in the press. But yeah, so that's a little bit too far over, but it doesn't matter. I say we'll whip across this field, and it's a nice big field, and big fields are far easier to do than small fields. But I'm pressing them mainly because I don't want to have to, like, I don't want to have a tractor in here pulling down in front of me. In theory, I wouldn't plough ahead of rape, or canola, I suppose I should say, to be politically correct. Yeah, I wouldn't normally plough in front of it, but I want to get the rotation set up properly, and so therefore I want to get everything to start from afresh, is basically what I'm trying to say. I don't think that made a great deal of sense, but I knew what I meant. Yeah, rapeseed, yes. I think I'll just stick to canola. I got a complaint from someone when I first started YouTube, because I'd spent the whole episode saying rape, and this I don't know if it was a young girl or woman or whatever, but she messaged me. I mean, she wasn't mean or nasty or anything like that, but she was like, she goes, "Why do you keep referring to rape in your videos?" She goes, "It's a terrible thing that happens to women." And I was like, and I sort of messaged her back and said, "Well, that's not what I meant." And then she replied back and said, "Oh, I'm terribly new to farming. I didn't know that. Sorry." And I was like, no worries. But no, I didn't mean that. Yeah, it's so now when I sort of talk about it, I do try to say canola, but unfortunately I've always and only ever known it as rape, but rapeseed will do. But yeah, so and to be fair, actually, I think the lady still watches when she can. Very rarely, but again, another one that tends to email me rather than write in the comments. And I wish people would write in the comments, because that helps my videos. But you can't sort of make people see that or understand that. It's like my brother rang me on Wednesday after I'd finished the 1950s one, and he rang me and he goes, "Oh, I've just watched your stream." I said, "Oh yeah." He said, "Oh, I really enjoyed it." I was like, "Oh, thank you," because he's not into farming, so I was quite surprised that he'd sat and watched it. And he said, "Yeah," he said, "I was going to comment, but I decided not to." And it's like, "Well, you should have done it. Would have helped." And he's like, he goes, "How?" And I was like, "Well, because YouTube goes on comments and, you know, this, that and everything else." I said, like, you know, it just helps to push it out there a little bit more. And he was like, "Oh," he goes, yeah. "When are you doing it again?" And I said, "Well, Friday." And he said, "What, the old tractors?" And I said, "Oh, that one." I said, "No, that'll be next week." I said, like, because I've already done one. I said, "But once I get a proper schedule set up, I will publish it on the community page." I'm just sort of kind of testing the water, but to be fair, I've tested the water, and it seems all right, and people do seem to enjoy it, and my streams do tend to seem to get quite a few views after the stream's been put up as a normal video, so, you know, well worth me, I think well worth me carrying on, sort of thing. It's really good. don't know whether everyone's finished. I think everyone may have finished. Either that or they're stuck again. I'll have a look in a second. I think they may be stuck again. Oh no, no, still working. Still working. He was just being emptied, that was all. It's quite a big field, this. I think this field is 45 acres, if I remember correctly. So yeah, it's quite a big field, this, but I haven't shown what we own. We'll have a little save. I'm just pleased the computer's decided to play along. You watch now, I've jinxed it. Yeah, so we own this down here, and then going up through the middle. Is it? Yeah, he's still working. He's finished, which doesn't surprise me because that's a smaller field. And then this going all the way up through here, he's still ploughing by the looks of that. And then the combine is finished, but I'll do the combine off, like away from the camera, you know, away from the live stream, just because having a few fewer workers going has actually rescued the FPS. Yeah. Yeah, I can see your point there, Ricky. The biggest issue is we have got to a place in society now where you can't do or say anything. You've kind of got to be bland on everything that you want to say. So I was watching I can't remember what night it was, but it was earlier this week, and I was watching on iPlayer. I quite like the Repair Shop, the programme, the Repair Shop on BBC One, and it was a Bob Monkhouse special, and they were sort of doing repairs that were, you know, in some way related to Bob Monkhouse, and in between bits they were sort of showing clips of you know, him doing his stand-up and TV shows and whatever else. And I think, if I remember correctly, and I have to admit, I say I was watching, but I was playing Farming Sim at the same time, so I wasn't exactly watching it closely. But I was listening to it, I can say that much. That bit is accurate. Yeah, so I was listening to it, and he said a joke in it, like, you know, in the show, and of course I sat here and I was laughing my head off. I was absolutely laughing my head off. Like, it was a really funny joke. I can't remember what the joke was, and I wouldn't repeat it anyway because that's now been removed from the BBC archives, because apparently people watching the iPlayer rerun of that show that was quite a few years earlier, obviously because he's been dead quite a long time. I didn't realise the Repair Shop had been on so long. But yeah, he had said this joke, and like the amount of complaints they got, they've now removed that episode from the iPlayer. And I must admit, I've watched that episode a few times, like, because I actually do really like it. I think it's a really good episode, and like I say, the joke that he tells in it, I really liked. I thought it was really funny, but it's getting to the stage now where you can't tell a joke. Do you know what I mean? I mean, it's a bit like, you know, the joke on, was it Wednesday that I told, and I was sort of sat, you know, like obviously because I was sat having my evening meal, and my brother that I live with, because the other brother that called me lives away from us, but the brother that I actually live with. And he said, like, you know, I was like watching your live stream, so he said I had it on like as background noise while I was sort of doing, you know, doing my work and that. And I said, all right. And another one, again, not interested in farming, so I was quite surprised. He said, but I had it on. He said, because I quite like listening to your talk. He said, but he said, I will give you one word of advice. And I said, yeah. He said, I would cut out the jokes if I was you. And I said, why? And he said, well, because, you know, you're going to offend a lot of people. And I said, I appreciate your advice. I said, but if I can't have a laugh, and I can't be myself, and I can't, like, you know, I said it was a harmless joke. He said, yeah. He said, like, you know, I'm just saying, no, you'll upset people. And I said, well, then they'll not have to watch, will they? And he was like, he goes, well, you're trying to get views, not like turn them away. And I said, yeah, but at the end of the day, I said, I'm not going to sacrifice, I'm not going to become a machine to get 400 views. I said, I'm going to be myself, and I am myself. I said, and, you know, people will either like me or they won't. I said, but I'm not being me. And I think there's too much of that in this world where, you know, you can no longer be true to yourself. You have to be what conforms to what the PC correct brigade in the world sort of think that you should be. Sorry about that. My screen updated and there was a lot to read. But yeah, no, again, I totally agree with all your points there. You know, and I just ain't doing it. You know, I'm just not doing it. You know, I'm going to be myself. And yeah, all right. You know, even I, you know, someone as what can we say, is mentally challenged as me, realizes there probably is a limit, you know, to what that I would say. But I felt that the parrot joke was a fairly harmless joke. It didn't sort of alienate any part of society, I felt. And you know, like you say, like my brother, you know, being quite a bit younger than me, growing up in it, you know, my son, all right, I don't get to see my son anymore, but, you know, him, and I sort of think, and because, like, he has a sense of humour like me, and he makes me absolutely, well, he did, like, when I was allowed to see him, you know, obviously, given what's happened with his mum and everything, but, I think my biggest mistake was having an opinion about how my son should be raised. But anyway, that's for another day. But he's got a wicked sense of humour, that boy has, and I did say, you know, I have said to him 1,000 times, don't ever lose it. You're gonna have to control it. You're gonna have to kind of judge it. I said, but don't ever lose it. I said it's the one thing that will keep you sane in a world that makes no sense. Yeah. So, I think life's too much of, like, we've got to be what we're not, and we've got to conform, and we've got to this. Is that a little bit of Catherine Tate there, Rookie? How very dare you? I mean, even things like that nowadays, like, can't be, probably won't be ever reshown again. I mean, there's a really funny Catherine Tate sketch. I don't know if you've seen it. I don't know if you like Catherine Tate, but me and my ex used to like watch her. 'Cause, we both did sort of quite like her, and she's in an office, and the boss comes in. He goes, disaster, and like Catherine Tate's like, why? What's wrong? And he says, why? He says, we've got the Chinese embassy coming over today. He said, or the Chinese branch coming over today. He said, and I've got no one to translate for them. So she says, oh, no problem. She said, I can speak Chinese. I'll translate for them. He said, yeah. He said, we've got the French branch come in, the German. He said, like, we need to translate what I say into all those languages. And she was like, oh, no worries. She said, I'm multilingual. She said, I can speak all of them. So anyway, they get into the meeting, and she's sitting there, and he said to her before he goes, always start with the Chinese branch, and then sort of work your way around the table. I don't mind. Thank you. And he says what he says, whatever, he says whatever it is that he's got to say, and then she sits there and goes, and then when she came to the French people, she's like, oh dear. I apologise for that. Someone came in, and I got the same language as I got the other day. You want some chips? Oh dear. I'm hopefully going to get her trained over the next few months, so that at different intervals during the live stream, she'll bring me drinks and snacks. What do you reckon my chances are? I'm saying not very good to very unlikely. The casket story, very good. I can now. It's just come up on my on my screen. I always remember years ago, I was only a little boy. I've always had this really sort of the sense of humour that I've got, and and we was at a party or a christening or something like that, a party or a christening, something like that, and and the buffet was like open, and you know, obviously people were going up and getting what they wanted. And I went and got a plateful, came back, ate that, went and got a plateful, ate that, came back, went and got a plateful, and I was up about the fourth time. Gone up there about the fourth time, and one of the women that was sort of looking after the buffet, she goes, bloody hell, James, she said, if you eat any more, you'll bust. And so I said, without even thinking, I said, well, hand me that bloody cake and stand back then. Yeah, it's I think sometimes the on the spot comedy is better than the you know, the sort of rehearsed and prompted comedy. It's just, I just remember saying that. Well, yeah, I remember doing that. And she was like, "Oh, you wait till I tell your mother." And so I went and fetched her. And I said, "Mary's got something to say." Oh dear. Yeah, it's like I say, I can't be any other way. And my younger brother, although he is a little bit more aware of modern day cultures and stuff like that to what I am. I mean, I'm like I say, I was, you know, born 81, April 81, and you know, I'm from that generation. I'll never be moved from that generation. And as far as I'm concerned, you can say what you like, you can think what you like. If I don't like it, I'll just move, or I'll not listen, or I'll go away from your company. Rather than, you know, I mean, I did a few open mic nights at the local village hall, and I'd sort of used to do jokes, obviously, and well, you know, it was an open night mic. Of course, I used to do jokes. That's a bit like saying it wasn't me that died on the farm that day. Of course, I did jokes. That was the whole bloody point and the reason why I was there. But I remember someone afterwards coming up to me and goes like, "You really offended me," and I sort of looked at them and I went, "So?" And they were sort of mortified. "What do you mean so?" And I was like, "Well, what do you want me to do about it?" I said, "It sounds like a you problem, not a me problem." I wasn't offended, and neither of everyone else that was laughing. I must admit, actually, being a stand-up was, after all what happened with my heart happened and I had to give up work, that was one thing that I did seriously think about going into. But you know, obviously never have, obviously, and but yeah, I used to like doing the open. They don't do it anymore, otherwise I would still probably do it, but they don't do it anymore, unfortunately. It's another one of those things. I think the old boys and girls in the village were a little bit afraid that people like myself and a couple of other sort of wannabe comedians in the village, you know, were going to say the wrong thing. But the thing was, a lot of the people that we used to talk in front of used to enjoy, you know, what we said and enjoy the jokes and just enjoy the night for what it was, you know. It's sorry, that's my phone. I'm not popular enough that someone's ringing me. It's just every now and again, for whatever reason, my phone just sort of jumps in with YouTube Shorts. I have no idea why it does that, but I should have turned it down. But yeah, so but that's you know, that's the way of the world, I guess. Never mind. But I like a good laugh. If I have a joke, I'm going to tell it. And even on here, like, you know, sort of like I did the other day, you know, I had that joke, and I just thought, nah, do you know what? I'll just say, like, if people don't like it, they don't have to listen. No insurance here. No one would insure me. Do you know what? A couple of years ago, me and my ex, we wanted to go to. She always wanted to go to Disneyland. Now, she wanted to go to Disneyland Paris, and I said, I don't really want to go to Disneyland. I said, it's not really for me. And she was like, no, it's for the kids. I said, no, it's for you. I said, come on, we've got to be honest. And she was like, all right then. I said, look, I'll tell you what. I said, I'll do your deal. She was like, what? I said, we go to Disneyland. I said, that's no problem. I said, but we're not going to Paris. And she went, okay, where are we going? I said, we'll go to Disneyland, Florida. She was like, what? I said, yeah. I said, because then we can go to like Jurassic World there. We can go to like all the other stuff that I probably would be a little bit more interested in doing, like while we're, you know, rather than Disneyland. And anyway, eventually she sort of like, yeah, all right then, we'll do it. And we sort of kind of got planned what we wanted to do, where, you know, where we were going to go, where we were going to stay, and all of that good stuff. And then I rang up about travel insurance, and it was like, got any conditions? Only one. It's only a minor one. Gave them it, and the woman took a really sort of sharp intake of breath through her teeth. I knew it was going to be bad, and then she was like, do you take medication? Right, are you sat down? So, yeah. She said, I need the name of it, and I need how much you take. I was like, okay. Went through all my medication and how much I take, and another sharp intake of breath through the teeth. And I was like, this isn't going to be good. And I'll just say this. The price of my health insurance was more than the price of 4 of us going to Orlando, Florida for about, I think it was just short of 3 weeks we were going to go for. And the health insurance came out more. So in the end, it was kind of like, I mean, we just couldn't afford to do it. I mean, we could barely afford the Orlando thing, but she then sort of said, well, we could do a really cheap wedding and have that as our honeymoon and justify it that way. And I was like, yeah, I guess. But thankfully, the holiday couldn't happen because of the travel insurance. Because I wasn't really gone on that idea, but I really wanted to go to Orlando, and it seemed like a fairly, you know, sort of good trade-off. Yeah, it was quite a shock. So yeah, no insurance for me. It's the same, like, you know, I mean, I've never tried for life insurance or stuff like that, but I dread to think how much that's going to be. It annoys me that I've bent this end. That doesn't sound right, does it? I meant on the ploughing. I was watching last night. I was watching one of my favourite, well, 2 of my favourite comedy actors. I was watching Bottom Live with Aid Edmondson and Rick Mail, obviously. And oh dear me, honestly, like, I was laughing that loud and that much that I was in pain. It was so. I would have loved to have been old enough to have gone to one of them, but oh dear, it was so funny. It's absolutely bloody hilarious it was. I used to love Bottom, Blackadder, Young Ones. Um, you know, it was weird at school. I couldn't remember anything of what was being taught. Like literally, you would teach me it in the morning. I'd completely forgotten about it by the afternoon. However, you ask me to recite any part of Young Ones, Blackadder, Bottom, or any of the other sitcoms that were on at that time, and I could recite it word for word. But algebra, maths, French, German, that don't know, I ain't got a clue. Just not the least bit interested, not taking none of this in. When are you going to realise? Sort of thing to the teachers, you know. I was going to play that across, but we'll fill that in when we get that end. Otherwise, we're going to end up going to and from and back and forth, and we're going to be nowhere. All right, let's crack on. We're getting through it. Look, we're getting across this field. It helps that we've got a 6 metre plough and a really nice tractor pulling it. I've got to admit, actually, the tractor is on hire because I've never used it and I really wanted to use it. And I just wanted to see what it was like, so I hired it. It's like I've got £993 million in the bank. I can afford the 40 grand hire for the tractor and the trial, and just to see what it's like. I apologise for the little breaking sound there. That was me going to the desktop, but I'm running something else in the background. That's, as I am streaming, it's cutting it up for shorts, and I just wanted to make sure that it was still working. And I also, as well, just did a very, 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 very quick mic check as well, just to make sure that was still okay. On my other screen, it's still moving up and down the bars, and the same on the microphone, but it doesn't hurt to check these things. Gonna have a curled end again. Are you sure no pun was intended? Yeah, we just did a quick check, just make sure that everything was still working as it should be. I don't actually know where that does actually go through. I think it might be this one. That was the one before. Bugger. Done it wrong now. Oh well. Oh well. We cocked the other field up, so I might as well cock this one up as well. Look at that, look. I did the wrong bloody one. Never mind. We're going to have to drive on the ploughing again, unfortunately. Like I say, we've messed this. Oh well, we haven't. I have messed this up terribly. But that's just the way it is. Some things will never change. Ooh, don't try singing. Do you know, when I first started doing YouTube, the very first attempt that I ever had at doing YouTube, when would that be? About 2022, something like that, 23 maybe. I actually started out, and the videos are still there. I've not taken them down just because I find it funny, but it's not funny. But I find it funny. I was doing, or I tried to sort of set out as the singing farmer. So literally, I would do a normal video, but at some point in the video, the farmer would burst into song, and I would like sing a whole song of whatever came into my head, like whether it be Elton John or, you know, whatever. And then and then that would be the video. And my missus came out, well, my ex, because not my missus now, but my ex came home from work one day while I was in the middle of recording this. And she said to, when I'd finished and then I'd ended the recording, oh, way up, I pressed the button, but nothing happened. She said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm doing my video." She said, No. She said, "I know that." She said, "What was you doing in the video?" So I said, you know, whether I was harvesting or whatever. No. She said, "I don't mean that." She goes, "Was you singing?" So I was like, she goes, "Well, it's not singing, is it?" She goes, "That's a bit of a stretch to say it's singing." She goes, "Was you screeching on your video?" She goes, "And you want people to watch?" So I never did it again. It put me off. But I have listened to her further and back, and I was like, bloody hell, I think she had a point there. I mean, I can't sing for toffee, but I thought that's what would be funny about it. You know, I that for me was kind of the gag, was that we had the singing farmer that just couldn't sing. But there we go. I hope it's not a big field you're doing, Ricky. As I say, we've got a 6 metre, and I say this is the one that I used to use at work. And depending on what I was ploughing in front of, would be dependent on whether I'd use the presses or not. So if I was ploughing in front of like the collie planters or the lettuce planters or, you know, anything like that, I'd have the presses down and I would be pressing it, and then they would just then plant straight on top of that. But if I was ploughing, say, after wheat and it was coming second wheat or you know, something like that, then and they wanted the, or if it was coming sugar beet in the spring, so if I was ploughing in the autumn for spring work, I'd have the presses up in the air. You can do it on this plough, but I can't remember the keybind combination to do it, and plus I like the ploughs down anyway, the I like the presses down anyway. Like I say, it means I can be in here happily drilling away, and I'm sort of not relying on AI workers to get stuck and climb fences and go through trees and fall off the edge of the map and and all that good stuff. I can kind of just sit in here in my Challenger, because I'll probably use the Challenger for drilling, and just crack on with it. But yeah, 1.6 metre. Mind you, having said that, I mean, you know, I use that one on 1950s, that John Deere plough, and I actually really like using that plough. I mean, it's a small plough. I don't think it's as small as 1.6 metres, but as I say, I really like it. Just bear with me 1 second. Whew, there we go, I'm back again. Whew, that was a nasty one. But yeah, as I was saying, I do quite like it, using the older plough, but you know, as I said before, I never really liked the older machinery until I started doing 1950s, and now I would say half the saves I set up now for myself. Like, I'm currently doing a 1980s version on this map of the farm that's just there. You can just about make it out. Just there. There's a few sheds there, and that's my farm, and I just own these few fields here, and I've got like my granddad's crawler, or what is a representation of my granddad's crawler, some David Brown tractors, and an old Class Dominator combine, and absolutely loving that. That's absolutely brilliant, that is. So I you know, sort of, and I've sort of, for myself, I've done some 70s playthrough. You know, that's been really good. I've really enjoyed doing that as well. And obviously on 22 I've got 1950s. I've kind of sort of contemplated moving that over to FS25. Like I said, you know, the map's available. You know, there's some relatively good older mods available for the game now as well, so it is a little bit tempting. That sounds champion, that does. I quite like the little some of the Polish maps with the, like, what I call strip fields. Yeah, I quite like them as well, but I must admit, I do feel most at home on big maps with big fields. That is something that still gives me, like I say, a great deal of pleasure. You know, I've just sat here and realised, thinking about what we've been talking about, and I just thought, I don't think I ever did finish off what I was saying about Farmers Dynasty and about what I did last night in the game. But on the fact that I might have done and I just don't remember, I'm not going to repeat myself. I was just like saying, I'm thinking, I don't think I ever finished that. I'm terrible for that. I start one thing, I get like sort of kind of nattering away, and you'd never guess I'm lonely, would you? I'm only teasing. I'm only joking. Yeah, and I just sort of thought, I'm sure I didn't finish that, and I was like, oh, you probably did, and just don't remember. But yeah, no, it's. Like I say, I'm terrible for starting things and then, just digressing into something else, and then moving on to something else, and then, something else comes into my head, and before you know it, 3 hours later, I go back to the first story and finish it off. I must admit, you know, for all what we agreed and said about the game, there are times in the game, and I just sort of look at that and think, God, I can't believe that's a computer game. I can't believe I get to do, sort of, and see the things that I used to see at work, and kind of feel sometimes as well like I did at work. I mean, same with Farmer's Dynasty. I was harvesting on there last night, and it got to about 10, and I went back to the house because the only way that you can then move time on to the next day is you have to go back to the house. You have to go to the bed. The game's not modded at all, so there is, you can't shortcut it. Go to the bed, and then you sleep, and then as I say, it passes like to the next morning. And then when I got up and went down, and you have I suppose you don't have to have breakfast, but if you don't eat enough through the day, he gets very tired. Your character, and then you can't sort of complete your jobs and your task. So I went down, had breakfast. Once I'd finished my breakfast, went and did the greenhouse, went and did the chickens, went and did the cows, and then went back to my harvester, and seeing the harvester and the trailer sat in the field the way they were, it genuinely, like, just for a moment, it genuinely felt real, and it was fantastic. It was. Yeah, that's kind of how I remember it. Sorry, again, I had to lean in there because I couldn't see the words. So I, yeah, based on the game, you have the social points and stuff like that, and you have to go round to other farms or other NPCs, and you do jobs for them, and you do tasks like building, rebuilding their shed or repairing something or doing whatever. And when you first start, that's the only way you can get equipment to start your farm. So one will have a tractor available because they don't want to pay you because they haven't got no money, but they've got an old tractor you can have. And other ones, like who I actually getting round to. So Janet, she had a combine that she didn't need. But she needed her greenhouses and her sheds repairing and different things. And she said, like, because obviously harvesters are worth a lot of money, I want quite a lot of work doing, which, all right, fair enough. it's tedious, it's boring, and it's very repetitive, and the game trolls you and hates you for a long period. But it does actually become worth it, like, and that's that's the thing that I like about the game. Actually, all that struggle and trolling and grinding in the very early sort of hours of the game does actually become worth it, and you actually see the reason why you were doing what you were doing, and as I say, it's very good. And anyway, Janet had this combine, and I say part of the game as well is that you have to get married and have kids, and you set up this life together, and so I thought, I used to, when I was at school, I used to go out with a girl called Janet, and I don't know why, but I thought, I'll chase her in game. I thought it's as good as anyone, and she's just across the road from my farm, so it means I ain't got to travel. It was convenience more than love, I'll say that much in the game, and so I started like thingying her, and anyway, I went to see her. Like every day, I used to go. You have to go to her, and you have to chat to her and like do some jobs for her. Like I did some ploughing and different jobs for her, and you keep building social points with her, and like her rating or her feelings towards you change obviously as you carry on doing all of these tasks and what have you. And anyway, eventually she got to the point where how can I explain it? So there comes a point in the game where you can now start buying her gifts and stuff like that. And anyway, I was buying her these gifts and sort of having a good old laugh at it. And then it just popped up and said... on one of the options when you're chatting to them, so you press E to open the dialogue, and then you get loads of options come up, and then you sort of pick what you want to say. And so like number 4, and I'd never seen it before come up, and normally number 4 was have you heard the news, but number 4 this time was Janet, will you marry me, right? So I thought, for a laugh, I'll press that, right? So I went to the store, brought a ring, gave her the ring, pressed number 4, Janet, will you marry me? And she said yes. And the game then cuts to a cutscene where the two of you are in, it's not really, you're at a church, but you're not in the church. You're in this like gazebo type thing. And she comes in a white dress, and you're standing there in your suit, and you get married. So now I've got a bloody in-game wife that nags me to death. I can't wait till I can get divorced in the game. Honestly, it's like like when you, and they say you're supposed to sort of like obviously have kids and that, but there is a game mechanic to making her pregnant. But it's quite complicated, and I've been on sort of like Steam forums and stuff to sort of see how it works to trigger it. And apparently, what you have to do is you have to go to bed at exactly the same time that she goes up to bed, right? And she can go up to bed anywhere from 8:30 to like 1 in the morning, right? That's the cut-off point apparently. So the last in-game day that we had, I was out in the fields, I'd finished harvesting, and that's a little bit like sort of like an app farm, like Farmville or something. You can just keep planting crops and they'll just keep growing, and like you just harvest them and that. So it's just it's not quite as rigid as Farming Sim, where you have you have to do everything right. And so I was out harvesting. Anyway, got to 8:30, and I thought, right, she'll be going off to bed. She will be. So I thought I better go, like, because I want to see what happens in the game when you get kids and what have you. And so I went off, and she was working out in the garden. She was like hoeing or whatever in the garden, and like looking after the flowers, and like she cuts the sometimes she cuts the grass. She hasn't done for a long time because it's really overgrown, but I've just been busy out in the fields anyway. So I goes up to her and I chats to her and I give her a compliment and tell her she looks really pretty and stuff. And I'm like, honestly, I'm absolutely creasing in my seat, like at the sort of stupidity of it all in a computer game. Anyway, I'm doing all this, right? And I says to her, I says, I'm getting tired, love. Do you want to come to bed? And she goes, oh, not yet. I've got too much to do. And I was thinking, that sounds familiar. So anyway, I thought, okay, so I went back off to the fields, but I could sort of see, I could see the front door of the house from the field I was working in. So I thought, keep an eye on it. When she goes in there, I'll go running. And you men know what I'm talking about. Anyway, so it gets to like sort of, it was about like 10, something like that, 10 o'clock in the evening. And it started giving me the prompt that my character was getting tired and he needed some rest. So I then goes back up to her and I says, yeah, hey love, how are you? Give her a compliment, tell her she looks pretty, you know, all the rubbish things that you have to do. and then I said, like, you know, I'm going to bed, love, you know, are you coming? And then she goes, oh, not yet, no, I've got a couple of more things I need to do. And I was thinking, God, this is too realistic, this is. Back off into the house I go, put the, like, sort of go into the pantry, put the what I've collected from the greenhouse that day and different things into the pantry, because if you put the food in the pantry, she'll then cook you a meal. Alright, so like, I put all the food in there and the milk and the eggs and everything that we collected from the chickens anyway. So then I thought what I'll do is I'll go upstairs, I'll go to the bedroom, I'll stand on the balcony and I can see her from the balcony, right? It felt really creepy, even though it's a computer game. I thought, this is wrong. I should not be stood up on the balcony looking down at my computer game wife. I was thinking, this is wrong on too many levels. Anyway, I was watching her. And it was like she knew, without ever looking up, it was like she knew I was there, because she was like, no, I'm not coming to bed. No, I'm not coming to bed. No. In the end, I gave up and just went to the bed and pressed sleep. And when I woke up in the morning, she was sort of laying there. So I thought, aha, now's my chance. Get lost, tired. Yep, it's definitely real. That's exactly what it. I was kind of. I was like, nah, this you can't do this. I'm thinking I'm standing at the back. No, not I'm possessive or anything. So I sat there, and the thing was, because obviously my computer's in the living room, my mum was sort of looking at it, and she goes, "If that's what you do, I can see why you're single." And I was looking at her, and I said, "What do you mean?" She goes, "You just stood looking at her, you creep." Like, I'm trying to get her to go to bed. She goes, well, buy her some bloody flowers or something then. Oh dear me. Honestly, yeah, it's so funny. I was just stood, you know, like, and as I say, obviously, clearly, my mum, because my monitor face is where, like where she sits, and she was clearly watching, and yeah, she was like, she goes, it's a bit creepy. You just stood there watching her. I was like, oh, you know. She's like, can't you take her out for a meal, buy her a dress or something? I was like, no, you can't do any of those things in the game. She's only ever been 2 places on this game, Mum. Her house and now mine. It's like you can't take her out. She doesn't leave the bounds of your house. It's like, like I say, it's like I'm controlling her. Oh dear me, yes. Like I say, it's a. Oh, I've made myself out of breath. I've laughed so much. It's a really terrible game, but I just can't stop playing it. I mean, you know, I was sort of really lucky because this week I've been offered 3 Steam keys this week. So Farmer's Dynasty, because they're about to release Farmer Dynasty 2, and they sort of said, like, would you be interested in the game? And I said, well, I never played the first one, and so therefore I'm not, you know, not that sure about the second one. And they said, if we give you a key to the first one and you like it, would you be prepared to do some videos? So I was like, yeah, all right, yeah, fair enough. So I played it anyway. I got back in touch with them and said, like, actually it's quite a fun little game. And then I did point out a whole, like, 2-page worth of issues that the game has. And I got to the point where I actually physically said to myself, James, this isn't Farming Simulator, okay? You cannot hammer them for the farming. It's not trying to be farm sim, right? It's about a life sim. It's more about the social aspect of the game. And I was like, but anyway, I handed them my thoughts anyway. I thought, why not? And so they've now given me a key to the second one. So when that drops, I'll probably do some videos on it. I haven't done no videos of the first one because the game is quite buggy. The textures in it are awful. I mean, like I say, I've got a NASA running computer, and it flickers like hell. And I've got the graphics setting. I've had them to the max in the middle, at the bottom end, and it just doesn't change. So I have sort of said to them that, you know, I expect the game to be a certain level or a certain quality, you know, before I'll put it on the channel. And they've assured me that the reason they're doing a second one was because it was easier to rebuild easier to build a new one than try and put everything right in the first one. They said, like, the first one, you know, is all our mistakes, and now we know how to, you know, sort of do it better. So it's not fair enough, you know. I can't argue with that. You know, everyone has to learn. I mean, you look at where Farm Sim was to where it is now, you know, it's like a completely different game, you know. So I was like, fair enough. Yeah, I agree with that. The Sims, but a little bit more. But yeah, so yeah, look out for it in the future. Like I say, I'll be doing a few videos. Then I got another one, which is so they did a prologue a few weeks back, and they gave me the download to the prologue and the press pack, which I didn't use really, to be fair, because I didn't think it was that good, but of Truck Mechanic Dangerous Paths. They've now sent me a key to the full game and said, like, you know, would you be willing to oh dear, we've got a Massey Ferguson in the fence somewhere. Oh, not him. I went wrong. I didn't see it. Right, okay. Having said that, oh, hang on, that's not right. Having said that, so back when I was a kiddie, a teenager, we was in, well, not we. My mum and my brother was in Wisbeach, not too far from where I live. It's about 10 miles ish, and they was in Wisbeach, and they were at the old Lloyd's TSB. Anyway, gets a phone call from mum. Dad does, very upset, and I've had a crash. So, oh my God, you know. So me and my dad race down there. We get there. She's hit a double-decker bus, right? Bright yellow double-decker bus, right? You know, emphasis on bright yellow. It looked like a council worker. And we got there. Anyway, as we sort of got there, the police was already there, and they were sort of speaking to the bus driver. Then they came and spoke to mum, and said to mum, like, you know, what happened? Because basically, mum sort of pulled out of the parking spot on the side of the road and driven straight into the side of this bus. And I remember it as clear as day. I was standing with my mum, and I had my arm around her, and because she was really shook up. And the policeman said to her, he says, okay, he says, in your own words, can you please tell me what happened? And she went, yeah. She goes, I pulled out and drove into the side of a bus. So the policeman said, well, why did you drive into the side of the bus? And mum went, I never saw it. And me and the copper looked at each other, and both in our heads and our expressions went, it's bright bleeding yellow and a double-decker. How the hell did you not see that? Oh no! Okay! Right, ladies and gentlemen, I am going to have to end the stream here because I have been shouted for my tea from from my brother that's just come in. So thanks ever so much for joining me. I hope you've had fun this afternoon. I've enjoyed it. It's been a really good laugh. And I will see you again, hopefully, on Monday, Computer Behaving, where we will be back to either From the Ground Up or 1950s. That will be the live stream that we will do. Sorry, I couldn't think what I was trying to say there. And then hopefully moving forward it will be Mondays, and yeah, I did hear, mate. Mondays, Wednesdays and Fridays, and then and as I say, we'll set up a proper schedule. But while my computer's just playing up at the minute, then it's a bit hard to do because, like today, it's quit a few times already. So, but anyway, thanks ever so much for joining me. I've really enjoyed having your company, and hopefully I'll see you again soon.